Just as we turned at the far end of the terrace, I fancied I saw a shadow slip out of the French window here, cross the terrace and disappear. I paid very little attention, however. I knew Fitzroy to be in this room, and it never entered my head that anything might be amiss. There, of course, I am to blame. Well, we retraced our steps along the terrace and entered the room by the window just as Fitzroy entered it from the hall. "Got everything out we're likely to need, Fitzroy?" I asked. "I think so, Lord Alloway. The papers are all on your desk," he answered, and then he wished us both good night. "Just wait a minute," I said, going to the desk. "I may want something I haven't mentioned." I looked quickly through the papers that were lying there. "You've forgotten the most important of the lot, Fitzroy," I said, "the actual plans of the submarine." "The plans are right on top, Lord Alloway." "Oh, no, they're not," I said, turning over the papers. "But I put them there not a minute ago." "Well, they're not there now," I said. Fitzroy advanced with a bewildered expression on his face. The thing seemed incredible. We turned over the papers on the desk, we hunted through the safe, but at last we had to make up our minds to it that the papers were gone, and gone within the short space of about 3 minutes, while Fitzroy was absent from the room. "Why did he leave the room?" asked Poirot quickly. "Just what I asked him," exclaimed Sir Harry. "It appears," said Lord Alloway, "that just when he had finished arranging the papers on my desk, he was startled by hearing a woman's scream. He dashed out into the hall. On the stairs he discovered Mrs. Conrad's French maid. The girl looked very white and upset, and declared that she had seen a ghost, a tall figure dressed all in white that moved without a sound. Fitzroy laughed at her fears and told her, in more or less polite language, not to be a fool. Then he returned to this room just as we entered from the window. "It all seems very clear," said Poirot thoughtfully. "The only question is, was the maid an accomplice? Did she scream by arrangement with her confederate lurking outside, or was he merely waiting there in the hope of an opportunity presenting itself? It was a man, I suppose, not a woman you saw?" "I can't tell you, Monsieur Poirot. It was just a shadow." The Admiral gave such a peculiar snort that it could not fail to attract attention. "Monsieur l'Amiral has something to say, I think," said Poirot quietly, with a slight smile. "You saw this shadow, Sir Harry?" "No, I didn't," returned the other, "and neither did Alloway. The branch of a tree flapped or something, and then afterwards, when we discovered the theft, he leapt to the conclusion that he'd seen someone pass across the terrace. His imagination played a trick on him, that's all. I'm not usually credited with having much imagination," said Lord Alloway with a slight smile. "Nonsense, we've all got imagination. We can all work ourselves up to believe that we've seen more than we have. I've had a lifetime of experience at sea, and I'll back my eyes against those of any landsman. I was looking right down the terrace, and I'd have seen the same if there was anything to see." He was quite excited over the matter. Poirot rose and stepped quickly to the window. "You permit?" he asked. "We must settle this point if possible." He went out upon the terrace, and we followed him. He'd taken an electric torch from his pocket and was playing the light along the edge of the grass that bordered the terrace. "Where did he cross the terrace, milord?" he asked. About opposite the window, I should say." Poirot continued to play the torch for some minutes longer, walking the entire length of the terrace and back. Then he shut it off and straightened himself up. "Sir Harry is right, and you are wrong, milord," he said quietly. "It rained heavily earlier this evening. Anyone who passed over that grass could not avoid leaving footmarks, but there are none at all." His eyes went from one man's face to the other's. Lord Alloway looked bewildered and unconvinced. The Admiral expressed a noisy gratification. "Knew I couldn't be wrong," he declared. "Trust my eyes anywhere." He was such a picture of an honest old sea-dog that I could not help smiling. "So that brings us to the people in the house," said Poirot smoothly. "Let us come inside again. Now, milord, while Monsieur Fitzroy was speaking to the maid on the stairs, could anyone have seized the opportunity to enter the study from the hall?" Lord Alloway shook his head. "Quite impossible. They would have had to pass him in order to do so." "And Monsieur Fitzroy himself, you are sure if he may?" Lord Alloway flushed. "Absolutely, Monsieur Poirot. I will answer confidently for my secretary. It is quite impossible that he should be concerned in the matter in any way." "Everything seems to be impossible," remarked Poirot rather dryly. "Possibly the plans attached to themselves a little pair of wings and flew away, comme ça." He blew his lips out like a comical cherub. "The whole thing is impossible," declared Lord Alloway impatiently. "But I beg, Monsieur Poirot, that you will not dream of suspecting Fitzroy. Consider for one moment, had he wished to take the plans, what could have been easier for him than to take a tracing of them without going to the trouble of stealing them?" "There, milord," said Poirot with approval. "You make a remark bien juste."